Hey guys, what's up? This video is entitled Feminism Was A Mistake. I seen this comment on the internet and I thought it was an interesting comment. Here's the comment. When women are unhappy, they will destroy everything. A woman will sacrifice her family for her happiness. A man will sacrifice his happiness for his family. I had to think about that for a second. It does seem to be that way. Most marriages are ended by women who break up the family. Women are the majority of people who file for divorce because women's happiness is more important to them than their family. If a woman's not happy, she'll destroy the family. Men, on the other hand, don't initiate divorces most of the time. They would rather stay because men value the family more than their own happiness. A man will go to work every day for 40 years to a job that he hates, and he'll do it for his family, because a man sacrifices his happiness for his family. Half the marriages end in divorce now because if a woman is not happy, she will sacrifice her family. Now, this is why women shouldn't be in positions of power, because if a woman's unhappy, she'll destroy everything. If there is ever a nuclear war, it'll probably be a woman who pushes the button. She'll destroy the whole world because she's unhappy and goes on a temper tantrum. In the Middle East, the men have all the women in burqas, because they know the women are emotionally unstable. And in order to keep society together and keep everything functioning properly and normally, the men have to be in charge. Because men will sacrifice their happiness for their family or country or nation or people. Even if the man is unhappy, he will protect the family, protect the country, protect the people. The amount of rights women should have are what they have in the Muslim countries. The Muslim countries are doing it right. The woman's in her proper place in the Muslim countries. She's a wife and a mother, and she stays at home and makes meals for the children. And the men go to work and do the man stuff. The men are in charge, they're in power. They don't make women cops, and they don't make women politicians, and they don't put women in the military over there. But what happened in the West? The women's revolution, the feminist rebellion. Hollywood radical women, the snakeettes, they started getting into the ear of white women, and they started to try and tempt them to rebel. Rebel against being mothers, rebel against being wives, rebel against having to cook for the children. They promised them freedom. It's the same story in the Bible. The snake, which is Satan, tempted Eve to rebel against God and take a bite of the apple from the forbidden tree. And they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden because Eve rebelled. Eve rebelled against the authority of God, who told her not to eat from the one tree. She was tempted by the evil snake. So what happened in the West? White women started listening to these snakeettes in Hollywood who told them to rebel against the authority of white men. We should be able to be cops. We should be able to be in the military. We should be in the president's office. We should be able to do everything that a man does. But women aren't like men. Women will destroy everything if they're not happy. Everyone knows that women are emotionally unstable. That's why white women have the highest rate of antidepressant use. Because white women are emotional and they can have breakdowns and they can get hysterical. Luckily, tranquilizers were invented. So the Hollywood snakeettes tempted white women to rebel against the authority of white men. But what the white women didn't realize back then is that the white men will sacrifice their happiness to keep everything in order. They'll sacrifice their happiness for the family. They'll sacrifice their happiness for the country. They'll sacrifice their happiness for the people. But women won't do that. If women aren't happy, they'll destroy everything. Back when white men were in charge of their own people, everybody was married. Everyone had a family. There were no abortions. Women were not on birth control pills. All women were wives and mothers. We had family values. So everything was normal back then because they didn't let people who are emotionally unstable make decisions. That would destroy everything, like the family and the culture and the country. So they got these emotionally unstable females to rebel against the men. This is really all the fault of white men because they allowed all this stuff to happen. They allowed themselves to be taken out of power without a fight. Now let's look at the results. Half of all couples get divorced because if a woman's not happy, she'll sacrifice the family, sacrifice the children. She'll make the kids have no family because she ain't happy. Now you see women in jobs that men traditionally did. For instance, cops. We see a lot of these women cops are not strong enough to fight with a suspect and the suspect gets away. A woman cop is actually more dangerous than a male cop because she's forced to use her gun because she is weak. In the West, the men made the mistake of allowing the women the freedom to rebel against their leadership, to rebel against their authority and do whatever they wanted. Now white women are tearing down their own house, their own family. If a woman's not happy, she'll tear down the whole house. She'll tear down the whole family. She'll push the nuke button. She'll tear down the world. So really, these women with their emotionally unstable minds are causing all the problems. They're tearing everything down to try to fix their minds. Women are not happy, so they're gonna tear it all down and sacrifice the babies. That's a good example. If a woman ain't happy, she'll kill a baby. Look at how many abortions there are. Why do women get abortions? Because they're not happy. They don't want a baby. They're not happy. It's the women who kill all the babies, because it's a woman who will sacrifice anything for her happiness. She'll sacrifice her family. She'll sacrifice her own baby. Do you think a man would do that? No, men are not the ones to come up with this idea to abort all the babies. That's a woman's idea. Women want to be happy. They won't sacrifice their happiness for a baby. That's why there are so many abortions over here in the West. Because men give women the freedom to do whatever they want, and the women are like, oh no, I don't want to have a baby because that will make me unhappy. Kill the baby. That's why all these babies get killed, because these women want their happiness over the baby. So a woman will sacrifice her own family and tear down her house for her own happiness. A woman will sacrifice her own children for her own happiness. A woman will sacrifice her own baby for her own happiness. A lot of women are selfish and greedy. That's why they go after guys with money. I watched this one video on YouTube by the YouTuber Logan Paul, and he was at his house with a bunch of young guys and young girls, and they were doing competitions to win thousands of dollars. So, the girls won all kinds of money and the guys won all kinds of money. So they all had thousands of dollars, the guys and the girls. Then Logan Paul brought in this homeless guy, that was homeless with no money, and he was dirty and stinky and had nothing. And so all the guys who won all their money, every single one of them gave all their money that they won to the homeless guy. But not one of the females would give a penny to the homeless guy. Every single one of the females kept all the money for themselves. And that's a selfish and greedy thing to do. Millions of men die in war. Millions of men sacrifice their lives for the country. The men in the Middle East have been wiser than white men. They have a longer history and are more knowledgeable. Because the men in the Middle East, they must know this about women. So they keep their women under control over there because they know women are a little emotionally unstable and selfish. So you have to keep those nutty women under control, or they will destroy everything, including their own family, own children, and their own baby. In the Middle East, the men keep them in their burqas to protect them from their own emotional insanity. And everything is normal over there. Everyone has families, everyone has children. The men are in charge and everything is normal. And they keep the emotionally unstable women in their burqas. So that was the feminist revolution in the West. Now we are going to see the masculine revolution.